Welcome back to another episode of the Maturity Project. I'm your host, Chad Broshears, or Sir Chad Broshears' son. If you know, you know. And today, we're talking about how to work on really I'm always talking about working on yourself, but it's more about getting people to be enrolled in what you're doing. And enrollment in what you're doing is important because it gets people to understand more about what you're up to. Still probably won't necessarily understand the totality of what you're up to, the big picture of it, but something. So if you just go and make some changes and you don't get the people that are at your, let's say, a tertiary level of your influence, the primary area of your influence be the people that are immediately there, right? Who's the person you pretty much talk to daily, or persons that you talk to all the time. It might only be one person, but it's that, who is it that's at a primary level that has the greatest influence, and they tell you something, you hear them, you listen to them, you take it into very deep consideration, and it's different per person, obviously. You may take to the depth of how you consider somebody else's opinion, you take theirs the most. So it may not be very deep, but whatever. That's just, some people just don't hear other people very well. But those are the people that you hear the most. Secondary would be obviously people that you do consider what they have to say to a degree, but they're still pretty close. You may not talk to them every day, or you may not have long and meaningful relations or conversations with them, things like that. And then there's that tertiary, which is that third level of people that you involve yourself with, that you still listen to them, you hear them, they give you something that lands on the radar of your perspective, and you consider some of the things they say, and it's still there. Enrollment has to do with, you talk to people about what you're up to. So if you have a pattern or a habit of specific behavior that people have gotten really accustomed to, they hear you regularly, they see what you do, they hear what you say and watch what you do in a way that they have a predictable value about you specifically, how often that you do what you say and say what you do, what motives that you taught them that you're up to through general conversation or even impassioned conversation. They know you to a degree. You do this for others. They know you know other people to a degree. If you look at it that way, well, now you got something that you can really work with. So how do you enroll these people? Well, hey, look, we're all playing a game called life. If you position yourself into a game called life, then it's easier to get people enrolled, because then it's like, hey, this is what I'm trying out, versus the impending doom that people seem to believe about somebody else's change of behavior, right? They're changing their behavior because they're going through some stuff. There's always has to be some sort of major catalyst to get somebody to start making changes. It seems like a lot of people, have to find some sort of motive behind a behavior change that makes sense to them, and often it has to do with a catalyst of mentionable degree. So like, wow, this person changed their behavior. They're probably dissatisfied in their marriage, or this person's changing their behavior. They're probably just, they're probably going to lose their job. It's never, I just realized that I'm not aligned with my goals. My behavior does not align well enough with my goals to achieve them in a way that's meaningful. That doesn't happen. Very often, it's not how we communicate. It's not how we work with other people. There's a responsibility that you have to your goal. And it's something that, if you were to start creating a category of something sacred, well, make your behavior that's associated with your goals sacred. It doesn't mean that you never, ever let somebody mess with it in a way that you don't defend it in an attack. But you don't have to go to that degree with a sacred thing. But it is meaningful enough to you that you're not going to let it go. So if you make your goals sacred, you'll be able to start working diligently towards getting there and achieving it. So, but you want to enroll people, because if you do it on your own without enrollment, man, that's not very easy. So it's like, have conversations that mean something. One of my best friends, God love him, and he's such a great dude. He really is. He's got a great heart. He's a good guy. He's not the easiest person to enroll, right? Like, especially if it's a negative thing. And by the way, if I'm putting something out there that has to do with some sort of negative orientation, undesirable orientation, that could very well be how you work your way through challenges. Like for me, I take them on. He's learning this about me because I've been this way, but I haven't openly enrolled myself with a lot of people that way in my youth, just because of fear of rejection and looking unstable because I'm, making these changes. It sometimes occurred for him like a guy that just tries stuff, right? And just keeps trying stuff, and a dreamer at times, like things like that. Or if I come down in the negative, which, if you have the dreamer side of things and you're like, hey man, I'm always up to something. I'm trying to, I'm up to living, and I'm up to living a robust and fulfilled life. If you don't tell or teach people that, they think, there's one more thing this person's up to. And it leaves them with little to no contribution towards what you're up to. They're just there to be supportive to the level that friendship is indicative of, or, the attributes that relationship has. That's it, really. Enrollment is different, and it's incredibly beneficial. So with enrollment, you tell people, hey, this is what I'm doing, and this is why. So for me, I'm playing a big game. Right? I'm playing a really big game, because it's like a calling. Right? Like, I can't let it go. I've tried. I can't move on. I've tried. I can't deny it and avoid it. I've tried. There's nothing I can do about it. It always calls me back. And that's what I'm up to. This is the Maturity Project. That's just the title, the vehicle of education, the method to break down into categories, a way of teaching something that people can start utilizing for themselves in a way that alleviates some of the challenges they're dealing with, by giving them more resources to work with, cognitive resources, so they can develop themselves, and including emotion, spirituality, create purpose, but all that will come through that cognitive pathway. So that's what I'm up to. I can't get away from it. I have tried. Hence the careers that I've had. I'll get into something, I'll get good at it. I'll get really damn good at it. And then I get restless because I hear the calling and I can't avoid it. It's passion that is infused with this purpose. So without enrollment, that looks chaotic. It looks like something that is so incredibly ridiculous to the average person. If you tell people, hey, I want to change the world. Okay, great, man. Yeah, good job. Yeah, let me know how that's going. It's kind of really the engagement that you get when you just tell people that. But by what means do you want to change the world? Right? Like, I openly talk about the Maturity Project. It is something that is it's like talking about a child, right? It's like talking about, really, when people say, hey, tell me about yourself. Like, I want to go straight to that. Like, I'm so excited about that potential of opportunity that I really just want to jump in it. That's the challenge that comes with it, is that you have to educate people in what you're up to. But you don't want to turn it on like a fire hose. Most people won't tolerate that. They can't. It's too much. But it's easy. When you're passionate about something, people do follow pretty easily. They see it, especially if they lack passion, which passion is directly associated with purpose. So if you don't have that, then, it's challenging. So, but it's like a magnet looking for the right polarity to pull itself towards. No, and that's so enrollment is to teach people what you're up to in a way that is understandable for them, to be able to see that they have a degree of contribution in what you're up to, even if it is nothing more than accepting that you're up to it. And by the way, accepting that you're up to it means that they're enrolled enough that they care to talk to you about it. Not just, okay, good, I'm glad you're doing that, and then they don't ever bring it up again. That's not accepting what you're doing. In an enrollment method, it's more of, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Move on. All right. So if you really want to be able to make some changes in your life, you just figure out exactly how you create that enrollment with the person. My experience and the best way of enrolling people is just talk to them genuinely as a person. Talk to them to the level that you know them and help work from where they know you. If it's a new person, you might want to preface what you're up to. I do, typically. This can be a lot, and I really want to be careful not to overwhelm you because I'm very passionate about this. So if you're up for it, I'll talk to you about it, but I don't want you to feel like you're obligated to talk about it. Like, that's my method. So that I can at least get acceptance for the conversation before intruding into the doorway of the house of their mind and say, yeah, I'm here to talk about some stuff. I don't want to be like a religious person trying to proselytize, foot in the door, or salesperson that won't leave your doorstep. I don't want to be that person. Or one that you're courteous enough to let them in the house, but then they're just on their sales spiel and you have no interest in what they have to offer. It's an ugly situation. It's very uncomfortable whenever somebody is nicing you into, numbing, right? Nicing you into wasting your time. It's really, here's the thing about it. I also never consider it. I don't consider anything to be wasting my time. I learn from everything. But to use that as a turn of phrase, most people would associate with or understand, wasting their time, right? Most people qualify wasting time based off of the return of their time invested and the attachment to whatever their belief in outcome is. And there are a lot of people that don't even know what the hell they're looking for. So they go around slapping people with a label of a time waster. I can't believe this person wastes my time. That kind of stuff, it comes from not having clarity. But also, if you have clarity, you don't have to worry about any of it. It's like, yeah, you know what? This doesn't align with my goals, but what can I learn here? That's what you get from people that are working on themselves in a way that actually is very intentional to grow. But again, I'm not out to make anybody wrong in this process. I can't do that really from my education. I can't make people wrong until I know what their goals are. Because you know what? You got to sit in hell at times in order to get to where you want to be. You got to go through the stripping down of who you believe you are so that you can associate yourself, your true self, with your goal. And you have to take away some of the facade that you've learned to hold up to get value from strangers or get value from people in your life. Because there's a lot of pretending that we do. Hell, I still pretend, but I'm not sure where yet. I'm working on finding it because I learned it at 6 years old or whenever, right? 6 is just a number I pick, but I learned it at some previous time in my life that I had to put on a facade in order to fit in. But I've become so accustomed to it because I have all these years of building into that reality, I forgot it. I forgot I was doing it. So when I say that I'm still pretending in some ways, I am. We all are. It's a matter of aligning yourself. If you're sitting back right now and you're listening to this and you're like, I'm not pretending about anything. I'm completely sincere. Well, you can block the option. But if you don't go through and start doing a checklist of things, and I do pretty much a 3-part checklist, so the 3 levels of it, if you will. There's the basic quick overview. Is this, that, and I go over specific subjects. I like organization like that because it does help you create more clarity. First level, go through and be like, hey, you know what? These things. And then I'll go through the next one and be like, okay, well, you know what? A little bit deeper. How true is this? Could this be wrong? And then the third one is, this is wrong. I got to find out why and how. getting deeper and deeper, right? And putting that level of skepticism into it. So first is just, I don't know, is there something here? Second is, I think it's right, but could it be wrong? And the third is, this is wrong. Let's find out how. And I got to tell you, that's not easy. It's not easy at all. But still, that's a process that I use in order to evaluate aspects of myself to find out where I'm pretending and where I'm not. And there's other things I use it for, obviously. I want to find out as much as possible. It's always great to question yourself about what you believe is right. Is it really right? And once I started taking that on, which I started doing that, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago, something like that, it's easy to do now. Before it was a little bit of a challenge because it started to go after and it started to fracture some of the foundation of who I believed I was. Now I'm like, I just bring my attention to it. I use emotional indicators to find out where those things are so that I can not only learn in that moment, but I can also enroll people in my practice of living. So that's what I'm up to, man. I'm practicing living, man. Living as much as I can. So I've got great fears. I don't know how well my health will hold up over the years. Thanks to a condition that I found out that I had in my 20s. It's not necessarily fully uncommon. It's not highly rare, but it's still something, and it has a mortality value that I haven't forgotten. And it's actually part of how I started evaluating things to look for, answers in places that I didn't really have an answer. Thank God that I had a doctor that only wanted to prescribe medication and didn't handhold too much into helping me find an answer to enable me. He gave me the challenge of, I don't know, food. Keep a food diary. Like, you got a bunch of patients with this condition. Is there any commonalities? Nope. Food diary. Like, all right. Well, looks like I'm on my own here. I'm paying you to write a prescription for me. I see what it is, And then I just started putting the work in. And since then, I've built a habit of it. So now I've got a habit of work in multiple ways. Evaluating what's true, what isn't. Great. That's a challenge that I took on that I've now overcome. Because, hey, I did find some triggers, by the way, and I'm doing much better now than I was before. But still, it's there. And it did remind me, Chad, your time is not permanent. We all know that. But you really don't seem to grasp it until your mortality is challenged enough to realize, sometimes that's a family member that passes or gets gravely ill. And then it helps you understand, hey, this person was healthy and all this, years ago, or however long they've known the person. So the point of this episode is not just to give you all of that, but it's to just say, hey, you know what? Let's enroll people in what we're up to. Part of enrolling people is to be human, to be real. Like if you were paying attention to my conversation, how did it feel whenever I gave you that, that I have a condition that has me realize my mortality? It humanizes me. It's not intentional to humanize me, by the way. It's a truth. I'm giving you the why it matters portion and what it can do, because truth is powerful, man. The truth is more powerful than a lie. Far more powerful than a lie. The truth will take you further than a lie. And the truth has an upset on the front. It can be very upsetting on the front end. But the truth will give you the greatest rewards on the back end. The reason why I harp on truth is because if you lie to somebody to enroll them, you are really tying an albatross around your neck. It's only a matter of time before that enrollment becomes something the other person will use against you, as you've convinced them to care about your life enough. But what you demonstrate when you lie about it is that you don't care enough about your own life to be who you really are. We have enough of the people in this world are copycats. We have copycat behavior. I have it. And when I find it, I do what I can to break free of it, because we all want to fit in. And what we do is we find people that are in our society that seem to get a great degree of acceptance And then we align with their behaviors enough that it will, with hopes, give us acceptance in these groups. Enroll, man. Enroll people. Like, look, you know that you're doing a great job when people tell you that you are your own person, or that you're inspiring because you truly are, you're true to yourself. That type of conversation is what really will excite the hell out of you. It was the greatest compliment I've ever received, is when my friend Dr. Frank Sessa told me that I truly am my own person. I'm like, wow, I've never received a better compliment. And I mean, and I'm not downplaying anybody else's compliments, by the way. I just mean the one that really hit the hardest and made me really self-evaluate. Because that's typically what compliments will do to us, is help us self-evaluate and validate. So first, it's like we evaluate, is it true, and then we validate that that belief about ourselves by hearing it. So with this is how do we enroll people? Well, one of the things you do is just have a conversation of meaning. Like I have encouraged people to use this video as a breaking point. It's as a stepping off point, or break off point, if you will. You're breaking the ice. Share the video with people in your life you want to break the ice with. That's to help start a conversation of meaning. Conversations of meaning are enrollment. So understand what you want to work on with, like you want other people to know you're working on. Because you never know what resources are going to show up. You have no idea. You could have the most unsuspecting person that you teach that you're up to something. Like, hey, I'm up to something today, man. I'm working on some stuff. And you could have the most unsuspecting person. You're like, yeah, they really don't have a lot of resources to offer, because you're looking at the wrong resources. If your resource ideas are how much people can finance you in your journey of enrollment, of going after your goals, you're focusing on the wrong thing, man. But it's understandable. Our society teaches us that money is one of the key factors that you need in order to be successful. It's a measurement for success, but it's not required to be successful. Now, I can't speak in the stead of every single aspect of life, but I can speak about some of the aspects of life that I have experience in. And I say that because the Maturity Project is not about being the total arbiter of truth. It's about giving you the perspectives and the viewpoints and the education pieces to have viewpoints that help give you what you want in life, because it gives you the workable building tools necessary to move toward your goals. And it helps get you out of your own way, because you truly are in your own way. I don't care how much work you put into yourself. You're in your own way. I am. I'm in my own way, but I'm looking for where. I'm looking for exactly why and where. Because once I realize that I'm in my own way, I have a significant amount of tools necessary to work my way through that and correct it. So now it's just a game of hide and seek kind of. It's like I don't know where these things are, because I have layers upon layers upon layers of experiences in my life where I decided things about myself and others. And then by doing that, I layered that into who I am in a way that seems to be constructive enough to get people to understand who I am, and also for me to understand who I am. But that's based off of the need to fit in, based off the need to be accepted, which is more of molding myself into something else. Molding, if you will, actually. I'm sorry, wrong word. Molding myself into somebody that I'm not, because I want people to like me. And my dating experience in my life, I had never had greater success in connecting with others than it was until I started to be really, really honest. Because that's where people started to care enough to really get to know me, so that I could really get to know them. Now, there's still plenty more room to get to know people and all of that, because everybody comes from these, facades. I do still. So this is not perfection speaking to you. This is a man on a journey, and I'm sharing that process with you. So enrollment, talk about something meaningful. What is it meaningful to you? And you can be so flippant where you're just like, hey man, I'm working on this today, and then tomorrow you're on to something else. The way to work with that is, by the way, there's a practice to get out of that behavior so you can stay more consistent. but you got to start. And one of the good things about it, if you take this approach, is you make the declaration on the front end, which is, look, I know I change subjects or change paths fairly often. And there's a lot of things that I get out of it. I understand that I do it. And I'm going to probably keep doing it for a while until I learn how not to. But in the meantime, I got a lot of lessons I got out of it. You know, if you want to talk about any of that stuff, I'm open to talk about my experiences and being so flippant with my goals. Instead of being ashamed of it and hiding or whatever, or having somebody put the judgment on you like you can't stay consistent, you humanize yourself. They can see themselves in you because they're human. That's the great thing about humanizing. That's what humanizing is all about. When you say that, the whole term is directly associated with being human. They recognize themselves in you. That's it. That's what humanizing is. Because you help them see if you were under, or if they were under the same circumstances, they would have a similar outcome, similar experience. It's a beautiful thing. Humanize yourself. That's a very enrolling approach. So it's a fantastic way to create a living, you know, because that's actually what we need to do. It's not just about making money. It's creating a living of meaning. How meaningful do you want your life to be? Because I can tell you, if you don't have purpose, because if you don't have meaning, you don't have purpose. You can't have purpose without meaning. If you don't have it, you're going to have a pretty tough time. So, and it's going to be, life is going to be more about what you can take than it is going to be about what you can contribute. All right, conversations of enrollment. Speak about something meaningful. Use my videos if you like. I encourage you to use the videos to just create, you know, an insight, if nothing else, to start a conversation. Start a conversation with somebody that means something to you today. Share the video to get that started if that's what's necessary. So get that going. Why not? You know, why not? What else are you going to do? Sit around and be dissatisfied with life? Or are you going to work on it? So, all right, well, let's get enrolled today. Let's go find somebody. Here's an exercise. Find somebody that's close enough to you that means something to have a conversation with them. And talk to them about your goals and what you'd like to accomplish and what you're willing to do in order to start doing that, or what you know to do in order to get there. So work on that. Build from it. It's just action. Okay? So, again, I'm your host, Chad Everett Broshears, or Sir Chad Everett Broshears for some. If you know, you know. This is the Maturity Project. So, you know, we got a lot of stuff to do. The world is just, it's begging for us to grow and develop. But we got to work on ourselves first, because the path to hell is paved with good intentions. And we're making a super highway to get there right now. So let's get away from that. All right. Now we're all up to something. Get up to it with me. Okay. All right. Until next time, we'll see you. Let's get to it. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. You know, put a comment in the comment section, all that good stuff. Tell me what you're getting out of the video. And if you've had those conversations of enrollment, you can put that in the comment section as well. I'd love to hear from you. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Let's get to it. See ya.